everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Banner Press Coaches Show. I'm Chris Wimmer. I'm here with Coach Glen West from Brenham High School. This week we're going to preview the homecoming game, Waller. We're also going to take a quick look back at Magnolia West, but we're going to spend most of our time previewing the upcoming match. So to do that, to jump back real quick to Magnolia West, just put that one to bed. I'm sure everyone's anxious to move on from it, of course. So really the only thing I wanted to talk about with that game was where it seemed like the struggles began, which was running the ball and defending the run. It seemed to me like those were the kind of two phases. Now that you've seen the film, have you been able to diagnose the issues that you had on both sides of those? So how did that all look?
Well, I think the reason there was a problem in the areas that you're talking about is that we were dominated at the line of scrimmage.
Okay.
And that happens a few times, and when you line up against somebody and you realize early that they are controlling the line of scrimmage, you're in for a tough time. It's not going to turn out well. Having said that, I went back and looked and thought about it, and probably that was the worst performance we've had in 14 years.
Really?
And so I can date back to 2003 in the Astrodome. When we played Navasota, coming off the state champion year, or state finalist year the year before. And we played that bad. Very similar. Now, if the results happen the same, the next week we played El Campo, and they had a really good team under Bob Gillis, and we beat them in overtime. So we went from a terrible game to a good game. So I'd like that to happen again.
Hopefully there will be some big course corrections this time around too. What are the general feelings about this game coming up, homecoming against Waller coming in?
Well, it's a very important game for several reasons. One, to right the ship, because if you don't fix it now, you could be into a tailspin that you can't get out of, because the district's not going to get easier. Secondly, Waller is a quality opponent, and they are getting better. If you look at their scores, they lost a very close game to Bryan, a very close game to Navasota, which barely beat Mag West in both those teams. So they're not far off Mag West, and play like we played. If we don't play any better, it'll be the same result. Different in the fact that they're a throwing team, not a running team. The quarterback throws very, very well. They've got a receiver that had 4 touchdown passes last week. He hurt us a year ago.
Fisher, it looked like,
And he last year hurt us really bad too. He's a great player. They're putting up big yards and big numbers on everybody they're playing. So,
even against Magnolia last week, they lost the game, but they still put, like you mentioned, the
38
quarterback.
points.
38 points. The quarterback had 350 yards passing. That wide receiver had 200 yards receiving and 4 or 5 touchdowns. So he was obviously a weapon.
They go as their quarterback goes. He's a really, really good football player. Throws very accurate, probably the most accurate quarterback in the district.
So what are the keys then to defending such an accurate quarterback who has at least one solid weapon, maybe some few others spread in there?
We have to. We hadn't played very good defensively in the secondary either. Like I said, there was a lot of pointing going on. Everybody's at fault. We've got to shore up our covering and do a better job there. We've got to keep the ball. We've got to be able to move the ball. So those things are important.
And when you're on offense against Waller, what are the top threats on their defense that you have identified that you're going to need to neutralize to make sure you have success, either in the running game or the passing game, or both?
Well, we didn't run the ball very well last week at all. So that obviously is something on our mind that we want to be able to do, and we just need to continue to get better and better in the throwing game. That was one kind of positive last week, is we threw the ball a little better. We had to, and we're going to have to continue to do that. They play a multiple look defensively. We don't know what we're going to get. They've been a 50 defense. They've been an even defense. We'll wait and see what we get.
Sure, and that was the last thing I was going to bring up as far as focusing on where to neutralize their defense. Also going hand in hand with that is your offense, and then the passing game had a little more success. You said you wanted to throw the ball a little bit more. You did last week. Kadarian had his most attempts of the season, and Andre Gilmore had a breakout game, 6 catches for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. So you've got 2 big, fast threats out there with Trivion and Andre, and obviously Montarius can come in with his size. Eric Preston's continuously in the mix at all kinds of different things. So you've got the weapons. How important is it to work in those guys early in the game and get them into the flow of that now that you've seen that they can all be game breakers to whatever extent?
Well, one thing that we have to do is we still have to figure out who we are. That sounds odd, but We thought, probably wrong in thinking, that we could line up and run the ball on anybody,
Right.
and we couldn't. So we have to figure out who we are and what we're effective at and how to be effective at it. So, it's going to be important to get in a rhythm early and be able to have some confidence. Once you have that confidence, you start doing things the right way, then it flows, and we need to do that early.
Right. Well, so this is going to be a great game to try and hopefully get all those things moving early and in the right rhythm,
Right.
and everybody moving in the same direction together. It's homecoming. We're going to wrap it up, make it very short and sweet this week. There'll be a little bit longer preview in the newspaper on Thursday. So that's it for the episode of the Coaches Show. Waller's coming to town. Homecoming game this coming Friday night, 7:30. We'll see you guys then.